your mind won't stop racing. Even when you close your eyes at night, it's still there, that endless loop of tomorrow's meetings, yesterday's mistakes, and the growing list of things you should be doing right now. If this sounds familiar, drop where you're listening from in the comments. Because what I'm about to share works, whether you're in Chicago, feeling trapped in your cubicle, or in Sydney lying awake at 3 a.m., worrying about deadlines. Grab something soft, a pillow, a blanket, anything that feels comforting. Find a spot where you can just be. Because you've been running on empty for so long, you've forgotten what it feels like to actually breathe. Here's what no one tells you about stress and anxiety. The solution isn't another productivity hack or meditation app that makes you feel guilty for missing day 3. 2,500 years ago, a teacher discovered something that changes everything in just 2 seconds. 2 seconds. That's how long it takes to bring your scattered mind home to your body. And when that happens, something extraordinary occurs. You remember what it feels like to be free. Not free from your responsibilities, free within them. Free to breathe without that weight on your chest. Free to walk without carrying the world on your shoulders. You don't need to fix yourself. You just need to remember how to come home. You've been breathing your entire life, but you've rarely been there for it. Right now, as you're listening to this, your body is here, but your mind is somewhere else entirely. Maybe it's caught in yesterday's regrets, or racing toward tomorrow's deadlines, or lost in the endless loop of things you should be doing. This is what happens to all of us. In our daily lives, very often our body is there, but our mind is elsewhere. Our mind lives in the future, trapped in our projects and plans. Our mind gets caught in the past, tangled up in anger, fear, and anxiety. Very seldom is our mind actually with our body. That is why, when you bring attention to your in-breath and breathe in, you bring your mind home to your body. This simple act, this returning, is the foundation of all freedom. But here's what changes everything. When you breathe in mindfully, you bring your mind home to your body. It takes only 2 or 3 seconds for your mind to come home to your body. 2 or 3 seconds. That's all. Your in-breath becomes like a vehicle, a gentle car, bringing your scattered mind back home to where your life is actually happening. And when mind and body are together, you are there. You are truly there, in the here and the now. And from this place of presence, you can get in touch with the wonders of life that are available right here, right now, for your transformation and healing. It's very easy to do, and it's also very pleasant. How wonderful to breathe in. Let's begin with the foundation. To breathe in and focus your attention only on your in-breath. Breathing in, I am aware of my in-breath. Breathing out, I am aware of my out-breath. This is the first exercise that every beginner practices. It's very easy, but it's also very deep. Because when you really focus your attention on your in-breath and out-breath, something beautiful happens. You release everything else. If you really pay attention to your in-breath becomes the only object of your mind. You are concentrated on your in-breath. You are mindful of your in-breath, and you release everything else. You release the past. You release the future. You release your projects, your worries, your endless mental commentary, and you become a free person. Therefore, freedom is possible with one in-breath. Mindfulness and concentration directed to your in-breath help you to release everything else, and you become a free person. Think about this for a moment. Right now, in your daily life, how often do you feel truly free? Free from the weight of your responsibilities, free from the chatter in your mind, free from the constant pressure to be somewhere else, doing something else. This freedom isn't something you have to earn or achieve. It's available right here, right now, with your very next breath. And if you want to keep that freedom, then you can breathe out also mindfully. Breathing out mindfully, you focus your attention on your out-breath. You are concentrated on your out-breath. Your mind is only with your out-breath. Everything else cannot cling to you. The past, the future, your worries, your fears. You are free from all of that. So, with the practice of mindful breathing, you can cultivate freedom, and you can preserve that freedom as long as you wish. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. If you know how to practice mindful breathing, you keep your freedom. You are not pulled away by the past, by the future, by your worries, by your projects. You breathe as a free person. Now, we deepen the practice. The second exercise is to follow your in-breath and your out-breath from beginning to end. Imagine your in-breath has a certain length, maybe 3 or 4 seconds. It begins here, and it ends here. Your job is to follow that breath all the way through, like following a dear friend on a peaceful walk. Breathing in, I follow my in-breath all the way through. From the first moment it begins to the final moment, when my lungs are full. My mind stays with the breath completely. There is no interruption. Breathing out, I follow my out-breath all the way through. From the gentle beginning of the exhale to the natural pause before the next breath starts. Your mind follows very closely your in-breath and out-breath. There is no gap, no wandering, no distraction. You stick to your breath like a faithful companion. And breathing like that makes your mindfulness and concentration more solid, deeper. Your concentration grows stronger. And when you are more mindful, when you are more concentrated, then the pleasure of breathing becomes greater. Because breathing in and out can be very pleasant. If you suffer when you breathe in, that's not good practice. But when you breathe in and you feel pleasant, wonderful, when you enjoy your in-breath, you know that is good practice. To breathe and to be aware that you are alive, this can already bring you a lot of happiness. Because a person who is already dead does not breathe in anymore. As you breathe in, you know you are alive. And to be alive is a miracle. It is the greatest of all miracles. And that insight alone can bring tremendous happiness. Just to sit there and breathe can make you happy already. So the very first exercise of mindful breathing can already generate mindfulness, concentration, and bring you a lot of happiness. Whether you are sitting on the grass, or sitting at the foot of a tree, or even sitting on a bus or train, when you breathe in with mindfulness and concentration, you can be a happy person. Just breathing in and out. Let me tell you about someone who discovered this practice in the middle of her busiest season. When you spend 2 hours with your computer, you forget entirely that you have a body. During that time, you are completely absorbed in your work, and your mind is not with your body. You are not alive, truly alive, during those moments. You are lost in your thinking, your planning, your endless mental projects. Many of us live like this for hours, even days at a time. Our body sits there, faithful and patient, while our mind races through tasks and responsibilities. We become like ghosts, haunting our own lives. This woman worked in a high-pressure office environment. Meetings back to back, deadlines looming, emails flooding in faster than she could respond. She would sit at her desk from early morning until late evening, her shoulders tense, her jaw clenched, her breathing shallow and quick. She had become a stranger to her own body. But here's what can change everything. In some workplaces, they now have a bell of mindfulness on computers. Every 15 minutes, a gentle chime sounds. And when you hear that bell, you stop working. You go back to your body through mindful breathing. You feel alive again. You bring your mind home to your body. You enjoy breathing in and out. You become fully alive. You smile to life. And after that, you continue your work. The first time she heard that bell and actually stopped, she was amazed. For just 30 seconds, she brought her attention to her breathing. She felt her shoulders drop. She noticed the tension in her jaw release. She became aware that her body had been holding stress like a clenched fist for hours. And in those 30 seconds of mindful breathing, that fist began to open. This is a good way not to be pulled away for a long time from the present moment. And that helps you to release the tension in your body and keep your freshness. Keep your joy and happiness throughout the day. The bell of mindfulness is a call, calling you back to the present moment for you to be alive, for you to be free, in order to get in touch with the wonders of life that are available in the here and the now. 2,500 years ago, the Buddha taught exactly what I'm sharing with you now. He described it simply. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But hidden in this simplicity is a revolutionary truth. When you really know you're breathing, when you're fully present for this most basic act of being alive, you step out of the prison of your thoughts and into the freedom of this moment. Recognizing your in-breath and your out-breath, that is the first exercise. Every beginner of meditation practices that. It's very easy, but it's very deep. Because if you really focus your attention on your in-breath and your out-breath, you release everything else, and you become a free person. Just paying attention to your in-breath and out-breath can bring great results. Here's how you can transform your entire day with this practice. You don't need extra time to practice meditation. You don't need to sit on a meditation cushion or find a quiet monastery. You just need to remember. Set a gentle reminder on your phone, not harsh or jarring, but something that sounds like a friend calling your name. Every 15 minutes, when that bell sounds, stop whatever you're doing. Don't worry about finishing that email or solving that problem. Just stop. Go back to your body through mindful breathing. Feel alive again. Bring your mind home to your body. Enjoy breathing in and out. Become fully alive. Smile to life. Instead of thinking of this and that, you enjoy breathing in and out. You enjoy the landscape of your own inner world. You enjoy the simple miracle of being alive. Your breath has been your most faithful companion since the moment you were born. It has never left your side through every joy and sorrow, every triumph and challenge. It has never judged you, never abandoned you, never asked for anything in return. When you bring your attention to your breath, you're not learning something foreign. You're returning to the most intimate relationship you've ever had. You're coming back to the simple truth of your aliveness. In our hyper-connected world, we live so much in our thinking that we forget we have a body at all. We become like disembodied minds, floating through space, tethered to screens and schedules, but disconnected from the very vessel that carries us through life. But your body is not just a vehicle for your thoughts. Your body is where your life actually happens. Every feeling, every sensation, every moment of peace or joy, they all arise here, in this physical form. When you breathe mindfully, you reunite mind and body. You remember what we call the oneness of body and mind. Mind and body are together, and when your mind is with your body, you are established in the here and the now. You step out of the prison of endless thinking and into the freedom of lived experience. You remember what it means to be fully present for your own life. This practice will save your life, not dramatically, but quietly, breath by breath. It will rescue you from the trance of busyness and bring you back to the aliveness that's always available in this moment. It will remind you, again and again, that peace is not something you have to chase or achieve. Peace is something you can touch with your very next breath. Take a moment now. Put your hand on your chest and feel the gentle rise and fall. This is your life happening. This is your freedom. This is your way home. Your body has been waiting for you. Right now, as you listen to these words, it's been patiently holding space for your return, like a loyal friend who never gave up hope that you'd remember to come home. Most of us live as if we're just a head floating through the world, carrying around this mysterious vessel that we barely acknowledge except when it's hungry, tired, or in pain. We've become so identified with our thoughts, our mental chatter, our endless planning and worrying, that we've forgotten we actually live in a body. We've forgotten that this body is not just a machine that carries our brain around, it's our home. But here's what's beautiful about this practice. Once you've learned to bring your mind home through mindful breathing, the next step unfolds naturally. you begin to recognize the presence of your body. You begin to feel what it's like to actually live here, in this physical form, instead of just thinking about living. The third exercise of mindful breathing is to go home to your body and become aware of your body. Breathing in, I am aware of my body. Breathing in, I know I have a body. It sounds simple, almost obvious. Of course, you know you have a body. But when was the last time you really felt grateful for it? When was the last time you brought your full attention to the miracle of your physical existence? Right now, as you're listening, your heart is beating without you having to think about it. Your lungs are expanding and contracting in perfect rhythm. Your blood is flowing through thousands of miles of vessels, carrying oxygen and nutrients to every cell. Your nervous system is processing countless signals, keeping you balanced, alert, alive. This is happening right now, without any effort from you. When you bring your mind home through conscious breathing, you create the foundation for this deeper awareness. You begin to recognize the existence of your body not as an abstract concept, but as a lived reality. You start to feel the weight of your body against the chair or bed where you're resting. You notice the temperature of the air on your skin. You become aware of the subtle sensations that are always present, but usually ignored. It's like you go home and recognize the feeling of being home. But here, you go home to recognize the presence of your body. And when you are home to your body, you might notice something important. You might notice that there is tension, stress, and pain in your body. For many of us, this recognition comes as a shock. We've been so disconnected from our physical selves that we haven't realized how much suffering we've been storing there. Because you may have allowed tension to accumulate in your body over days, weeks, months, even years. Think about yesterday. Think about the meetings you sat through with your shoulders raised toward your ears. Think about the traffic you navigated with your jaw clenched tight. Think about the difficult conversation you had while holding your breath. Think about the late night you spent hunched over your computer, your neck craned forward, your back rounded. You have been working your body very hard, and tension, pain, stress have accumulated in your body and make you suffer. But you suffer without even knowing you're suffering because you're not home to witness it. This is what happens when mind and body become strangers. Your body absorbs the stress of your life, the deadlines, the conflicts, the constant pressure to perform, but your mind is too busy, too distracted, too caught up in mental activity to notice. So the tension accumulates like sediment in a river, building up layer by layer until your body becomes a storehouse of unprocessed stress. Your shoulders carry the weight of your responsibilities. Your jaw holds the words you didn't say. Your stomach churns with anxiety you haven't acknowledged. Your back aches from carrying burdens that aren't even yours. And your breath becomes shallow and quick as your nervous system stays locked in a state of perpetual alert. But here's the beautiful thing about this practice. Once you recognize what's happening in your body, you can begin to help it. Once you're aware of the tension and stress, you can start to release it. That is why you need the fourth exercise, to release the tension in your body, to calm your body. The method is exactly the same as what we learned with feelings. Here, you are aware of your body, and then you practice mindful breathing to calm your body, to release the tension in your body. This is the practice of relaxation, releasing the tension in the body. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I release the tension in my body. But this isn't the kind of relaxation you might think of. It's not about collapsing or going limp. This is conscious relaxation, mindful relaxation. You're actively participating in the process of letting go. Let me guide you through this practice right now. If you're able to, adjust your position so you're as comfortable as possible. If you're lying down, let your arms rest naturally by your sides. If you're sitting, place your feet flat on the floor and rest your hands in your lap. Now, breathing in, bring your awareness to the top of your head. Notice if there's any tension there, any tightness in your scalp or forehead. Don't try to change anything yet. Just notice. Breathing out, let that area soften. Imagine your breath flowing to the top of your head, bringing ease and spaciousness. Breathing in, bring your awareness to your face, your forehead, your eyes, your cheeks, your jaw. How is your jaw right now? Are you clenching it? Are you holding tension there without even realizing it? Breathing out, let your jaw drop slightly. Let your tongue rest softly in your mouth. Let the muscles around your eyes release. Feel your entire face melting into softness. This is what the Buddha meant when he spoke about the body being precious. The body is precious. It is our vehicle for awakening. It's not an obstacle to our spiritual life. It is our spiritual life. Every sensation in your body is a doorway to presence. Every breath is an opportunity to come home. Every moment of physical awareness is a chance to touch the miracle of being alive. Continue this gentle scanning through your body. Breathing in, bring awareness to your neck and shoulders. This is where so many of us hold the stress of our daily lives. Your shoulders might be raised toward your ears without you even knowing it. Your neck might be tight from looking down at screens all day. Breathing out, let your shoulders drop. Imagine them melting away from your ears, settling into a natural, easy position. Let your neck lengthen gently, creating space between your head and shoulders. Move your awareness down to your arms and hands. Are you gripping something? Are your hands clenched into fists? Are you holding tension in your forearms without realizing it? Breathing in, notice any tension in your arms. Breathing out, let your arms become heavy and relaxed. Let your hands uncurl if they're closed. Feel your arms sinking into whatever surface they're resting on. Now bring your attention to your chest and heart area. This is often where we hold our unexpressed emotions, our grief, our joy, our love, our fear. Your chest might feel tight, constricted, as if you've been holding your breath for hours or even days. Breathing in, expand your chest gently, naturally. Breathing out, let your chest settle and release. Feel your heart beating steadily, faithfully, keeping you alive moment after moment. Send a silent thank you to your heart for its constant, loyal service. Let me tell you about someone who discovered just how much tension she had been carrying. She was a teacher, someone who spent her days taking care of others, her students, her colleagues, her family at home. She was so focused on everyone else's needs that she had completely ignored the messages her own body was sending her. She would wake up each morning already feeling tired, her shoulders tight, her back aching. Throughout the day, she would push through discomfort, ignoring the signals her body was sending because there was simply too much to do. By evening, she felt like she was carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders, and in many ways, she was. The first time she practiced this body awareness exercise, she was amazed by what she discovered. As she brought her attention to different parts of her body, she realized she had been holding tension in places she didn't even know existed. Her tongue was pressed against the roof of her mouth. Her shoulders were practically touching her ears. Her stomach was clenched like a fist. She had been living in a state of physical stress for so long that it had become her normal. But here's what was beautiful about her discovery. Once she became aware of this tension, she could begin to release it. With each conscious breath, she could send relaxation to the areas that needed it most. She could participate in her own healing. Continue bringing your awareness down through your body. Notice your abdomen, your stomach area. This is often called our second brain because of all the nerve endings here. How does your belly feel right now? Are you holding it in? Are you bracing against some imaginary threat? Breathing in, let your belly be soft and natural. There's no need to hold it tight or suck it in. Breathing out, let it release completely. Feel your breath moving all the way down into your belly, expanding it gently on the inhale, letting it settle on the exhale. Move your attention to your lower back, your hips, your pelvis. This area holds so much of our foundational stress, the pressure of sitting too long, the weight of responsibility, the tension of always being on. Breathing in, send your breath to your lower back. Breathing out, let that entire area soften and release. Feel your hips settling, your pelvis relaxing into whatever surface you're on. Finally, bring your awareness to your legs and feet, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet. These are the parts of your body that carry you through the world every day. They deserve your gratitude and attention. Breathing in, appreciate your legs for all they do for you. Breathing out, let them become completely heavy and relaxed. Let your feet uncurl if your toes are clenched. Feel your entire lower body sinking into relaxation. This practice of body awareness, this coming home to your physical self, is not just about relaxation. It's about reclaiming your birthright to live fully in your own skin. From the parking lot, walking to your office, you might like to walk in such a way that every step can release the tension in your body. Every step can bring you home to the here and now, so that you can touch the wonders of life available in you and around you. Think about this differently than you have before. That walk from your car to your workplace, how do you usually experience it? Are you already mentally in your first meeting? Are you rehearsing conversations or worrying about deadlines? Are you rushing, your body tense with the urgency of getting somewhere else? But what if that walk became a moment of healing instead? What if each step was an opportunity to release the tension you've been carrying? What if instead of arriving at work already stressed and depleted, you arrived feeling grounded and present? You can walk in such a way that each step makes you a free person. You enjoy every step. Every step brings you to the here and the now, so that you can get in touch with the blue sky, the beautiful trees, the songs of the birds. Every wonder of life is available in the here and the now. And, walking like that, you release the tension in your body with every step. You don't need extra time to practice meditation, walking meditation, because from the parking lot to your office, you can walk like that as a free person. You stop all the thinking together. You just enjoy every step, and you just feel the presence of the wonders of life in yourself and around you. And everyone can practice like that. This is what it means to live in your body instead of just thinking about living. When you're truly present in your physical form, every moment becomes an opportunity for wonder. You feel the coolness of the morning air on your skin. You notice the way the light falls through the trees. You hear the symphony of sounds that surrounds you, birds singing, leaves rustling, the distant hum of life happening all around you. But when you're disconnected from your body, lost in mental activity, you miss all of this. You walk through a world full of miracles without seeing them because you're not really there. Your body is there, but you are not home in your body. The practice of body awareness brings you back to the fullness of your experience. It reminds you that you're not just a thinking machine moving through space. You're a conscious being, having a physical experience. You're alive in a body that can feel pleasure, comfort, ease, and joy. You're alive in a world that offers endless opportunities for sensory delight. When you practice like this regularly, when you make coming home to your body a daily ritual, something beautiful begins to happen. You start to catch tension before it accumulates. You notice when your shoulders are creeping up toward your ears, and you can consciously release them. You feel when your breathing becomes shallow, and you can deepen it. You sense when your jaw is clenched, and you can soften it. You become an active participant in your own well-being instead of a passive victim of stress. This body that you inhabit, this miraculous collection of cells and systems and consciousness, is not just a vehicle for getting through your to-do list. It's your home base for experiencing the fullness of being alive. It's your gateway to presence, to pleasure, to peace. It's your most intimate teacher, constantly offering you information about what you need, what serves you, what brings you back to balance. But you have to be home to receive these teachings. You have to be present in your body to benefit from its wisdom. Take a moment now to appreciate this incredible form you inhabit. Feel the aliveness flowing through you. Notice how your body has been breathing you, supporting you, carrying you through life without asking for anything in return. Send it your gratitude. Send it your love. Welcome yourself home. there's a secret hiding in plain sight, woven into the most ordinary act of your day. Every morning, you walk from your car to your office, from your bed to your kitchen, from one room to another, completely unaware that each step could be a doorway to freedom. Right now, think about how you usually walk. Where is your mind when your feet are moving? Are you mentally rehearsing the day ahead? Are you replaying yesterday's conversations? Are you already at your destination before your body has even arrived? Most of us walk like we're being chased by time itself. We rush from place to place, our minds racing even faster than our feet, completely disconnected from the simple miracle of movement. We treat walking as nothing more than transportation, a necessary inconvenience between where we were and where we think we need to be. But here's what changes everything. If one in-breath can bring you home to your body, to the here and now, then one step you make can also bring you home to the here and now. Every step is an opportunity to arrive, not at your destination, but in your life. You arrive in the here and now with every step. Your destination is not the office, the workplace, the store, the meeting. Your destination is in the here and now. And every breath, every step brings you home to the here and now so that you can be alive. This is perhaps one of the most radical shifts in perspective you can make. Instead of walking to get somewhere, you walk to be somewhere. Instead of treating your steps as the means to an end, you recognize each step as complete in itself. Because we know that the past is already gone and the future is not yet there. There is only one moment when you can be truly alive. That is the present moment. And you have an appointment with life in the present moment. And if you miss the present moment, you miss your appointment with life, which is very serious. Think about this for a moment. You have an appointment with life, not next week, not when you retire, not when you finally get everything figured out. Right now, in this moment, and if you're not present for this appointment, you're essentially standing up life itself. You run to the future, you take refuge in the past, and you miss the present moment. There are those of us who are caught in the past, who have no capacity to get out of the prison of the past in order to enjoy life in the present moment. There are those of us who are caught in the prison of the future, who only think of the future. We don't think that happiness is possible in the present moment. Let me tell you about someone who discovered the profound difference between walking to escape and walking to arrive. She was a commuter, like so many of us. Every morning, she would park her car in the same parking garage and walk the same route to her office building. It was a beautiful walk, actually. Tree-lined sidewalks, a small park, old buildings with interesting architecture. But she had walked this route hundreds of times without ever really seeing it. Her mind was always elsewhere during that walk. Sometimes she was mentally composing emails she needed to send. Sometimes she was worrying about presentations or deadlines. Sometimes she was replaying arguments with her partner or planning what to make for dinner. Her body walked the same path every day, but she was never actually there for the journey. She lived in a constant state of mental time travel. Even when she was physically present in one moment, her mind was always somewhere else, either lost in the stories of the past or anxiously projecting into an imagined future. She had become a stranger to the present moment. Then one day, something simple changed her entire experience. She had learned about mindful walking in a weekend workshop, and she decided to try it on her commute. Instead of rushing to her office with her mind already at work, she chose to walk slowly, deliberately, with full attention to each step. The first thing she noticed was how much she had been missing. The morning light filtering through the leaves created patterns on the sidewalk that changed with every step. The birds were singing, not just background noise, but an actual symphony of different voices and melodies. The air smelled different depending on which part of the route she was walking, sometimes like fresh bread from the bakery, sometimes like flowers from the park. But more than the sensory discoveries, she noticed something profound happening inside her. With each mindful step, the anxiety and mental chatter that usually dominated her mornings began to quiet. Her breathing deepened naturally. Her shoulders relaxed. By the time she reached her office, instead of arriving already stressed and depleted, she felt grounded, present, and somehow more like herself. So the basic practice is to always go home to the here and the now. And the practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking, can bring you home to the here and the now. Body and mind together so that you can touch the wonders of life that have the power to nourish and transform you, to heal you. From the parking lot, walking to your office, you walk in such a way that each step makes you a free person. You enjoy every step. Every step brings you to the here and the now, so that you can get in touch with the blue sky, the beautiful trees, the songs of the birds. Every wonder of life is available in the here and the now. And, walking like that, you release the tension in your body with every step. You don't need extra time to practice meditation, walking meditation, because from the parking lot to your office, you can walk like that as a free person. You stop all the thinking together. You just enjoy every step, and you just feel the presence of the wonders of life in yourself and around you. And everyone can practice like that. This is walking as freedom practice. Each step becomes an act of liberation, freeing you from the prison of past regrets and future anxieties, bringing you back to the only place where life actually happens. There's a beautiful teaching that captures this perfectly. Peace is every step. The shining red sun is my heart. These words remind us that peace isn't a destination we're walking toward. It's available in each step we take. The vitality, the aliveness, the joy we're seeking isn't somewhere else. It's right here, in this moment, in this step. But learning to walk this way requires a fundamental shift in how you understand movement itself. Instead of walking to get somewhere, you walk to be somewhere. Instead of seeing your steps as the distance between you and your goal, you experience each step as complete and perfect in itself. Here's how you can begin to transform your daily walking into a practice of freedom. The next time you need to walk anywhere, whether it's from your car to a store from your house to your mailbox, or down the hallway to another room, slow down. Not dramatically slow, just intentionally slower than your usual pace. Give yourself permission to take your time. As you begin walking, bring your full attention to the sensation of your feet, making contact with the ground. Feel the weight of your body shifting from one foot to the other. Notice the gentle rhythm of your movement. This is your body carrying you through space, not rushing, not struggling, just flowing naturally from step to step. With each step, take a conscious breath. You don't need to control your breathing or make it deeper than feels natural. Just be aware that you're breathing as you walk. Let your breath and your steps find their own rhythm together. As you walk, notice what's around you. But don't try to catalogue or analyze what you see. Just let your senses be open and receptive. The colors, the textures, the sounds, the smells, all of this is part of the richness of this moment. If your mind starts to wander, and it will, gently bring your attention back to your steps, back to your breathing, back to the here and now. This isn't about perfect concentration. It's about returning again and again to presence. When you practice walking like this, something beautiful begins to happen. Your daily movement becomes a form of moving meditation. Every journey, no matter how short, becomes an opportunity to touch the wonders of life that are always available in the present moment. You start to notice things you've been walking past for years without seeing. The way the light changes throughout the day, the different qualities of air in different seasons, the subtle sounds that create the soundtrack of your daily life. The amazing fact that your body knows how to walk without you having to think about it. But more than the external discoveries, you begin to touch something profound within yourself. You remember what it feels like to be fully present in your own life. You experience the deep satisfaction that comes from being exactly where you are, instead of always wishing you were somewhere else. This practice transforms not just how you walk, but how you live. When you learn to find peace in each step, you develop the capacity to find peace in each moment. When you practice being present during the simple act of walking, you strengthen your ability to be present during all the other activities of your day. And here's something wonderful about this practice. It doesn't require any special equipment, any particular location, or any extra time. You're going to walk anyway. You might as well walk as a free person. The woman I told you about, the commuter who transformed her daily walk, described it this way: I realized I had been sleepwalking through my own life. I was so focused on getting to my destinations that I was missing the journey. And the journey is all we really have. She continued this practice for months, and it began to affect other areas of her life. She found herself more patient in conversations, more attentive to the people she loved, more able to handle stress without being overwhelmed by it. By learning to be present during her daily walk, she had learned to be present in her daily life. This is the power of mindful walking. It's not just about the 10 or 15 minutes you spend moving from one place to another. It's about cultivating a way of being that transforms every moment. When you walk mindfully, you practice arriving instead of rushing. You practice presence instead of escape. You practice gratitude instead of complaint. You practice peace instead of anxiety. These few minutes of mindful walking, these simple steps taken with full attention, become a daily lesson in how to live. Right now, wherever you are, you have the opportunity to practice this. If you're lying down, you can bring this same quality of attention to the simple movement of shifting position. If you're sitting, you can notice the feeling of your feet on the floor, the weight of your body in the chair. If you're able to stand and take a few steps, do so with the full awareness that each step is bringing you home to this moment. Remember, your destination is not somewhere else. Your destination is here. Your destination is now. And every step you take with awareness, every breath you take with presence, brings you closer to the life that's actually available to you in this moment. There's something most people don't understand about happiness. They think it's something that happens to them, something they have to wait for, something that depends on their circumstances changing or their problems being solved. But what if I told you that happiness is actually something you can generate, like turning on a light switch, whenever you choose? This might sound impossible right now, especially if you're going through a difficult time. You might be thinking, how can I generate happiness when I'm stressed about money, or struggling in my relationship, or worried about my health? But this is exactly when this practice becomes most valuable. The fifth exercise of mindful breathing is to generate a feeling of joy. The sixth exercise is to generate happiness. A good practitioner can always bring about a feeling of joy whenever she wants. A good practitioner can always generate a feeling of happiness whenever he wants. And how? It's not too difficult. Because when you practice mindful breathing and you breathe in and you bring your mind home to your body, you become fully present in the here and the now. You realize what we call the oneness of body and mind. Mind and body are together, and when your mind is with your body, you are established in the here and the now. That's the first step. And when you are established in the here and the now, you are in a position to recognize the many wonders of life, the many conditions of happiness that you already have. This is the secret that changes everything. Most of us do not believe that happiness is possible in the here and the now. We need to run to the future in order to get some more. And that is why we sacrifice the present moment for the sake of the future. But going home to the here and now, you will be able to recognize the many conditions of happiness that are already available to you. More than enough for you to be happy in the here and the now. More than enough. Let me share with you a story about someone who discovered this truth in the most unexpected way. She was going through what felt like the worst period of her life. Her marriage was falling apart, she had just lost her job, and she was facing some serious health concerns. Every morning, she would wake up with a heavy heart, immediately flooded with anxiety about all the problems she needed to solve. One day, feeling completely overwhelmed, she called her sister for support. Instead of offering sympathy or advice, her sister said something unexpected. I want you to do something that might sound crazy. Take a piece of paper and write down everything in your life that you're grateful for. Everything that's actually working. Everything that you have, instead of focusing on what you don't have. At first, she resisted. How can I focus on gratitude when everything is falling apart? She asked. But her sister insisted, just try it. What do you have to lose? So, she sat down with a piece of paper, expecting to write maybe 5 or 10 things. She started with the obvious ones, her health, her children, her home. But as she continued writing, something remarkable began to happen. She wrote about her morning coffee and how much pleasure that simple ritual brought her. She wrote about her neighbor who always smiled and waved when she saw her. She wrote about her ability to read, to walk, to hear music. She wrote about the tree outside her window and how beautiful it looked in different seasons. She wrote about her childhood memories, her favorite books, the feeling of warm water in the shower. 1 page wasn't enough. 2 pages weren't enough. 3 pages weren't enough. As she wrote, something shifted inside her. The heavy feeling in her chest began to lighten. Her breathing deepened. For the first time in weeks, she felt a genuine smile cross her face. She realized that even in the midst of her difficulties, she was surrounded by gifts, by wonders, by conditions of happiness. This is what happens when you become present enough to recognize what's already here. You are luckier than many people in the world. And if you are not happy in the here and now, that's because you are not there in order to recognize them. The French have a song about this. Qu'est-ce qu'on attend pour être heureux? Why do we have to wait in order to be happy? Because in the here and the now, there are so many conditions of happiness that are already available. So to generate a feeling of joy is always possible when you touch the conditions of happiness that are already available to you. Your eyes, still in good condition, is already a condition of happiness. You just open your eyes and you see the face of your beloved one. You see the blue sky, you see the trees, you see the hills, you see the river and the stars. So your eyes is one condition of happiness. And there are plenty of them in your body, conditions of happiness. There are plenty around you. And if you are in the here and now, you can touch many of them. And to generate a feeling of joy or happiness is something very easy to do at any time. Think about this right now. Your eyes, these remarkable organs that allow you to see color, light, movement, beauty. Without them, you wouldn't be able to see the face of someone you love, or watch a sunset, or read words that inspire you. Yet how often do you appreciate them? How often do you feel genuine gratitude for the gift of sight? Your ears, they allow you to hear music, laughter, the voice of a friend calling your name. They let you hear the rain, the birds singing, the gentle rhythm of your own breathing. Your hands, they can touch, hold, create, comfort. Your heart, it beats faithfully, moment after moment, without you having to think about it. Each of these is a condition of happiness that's available to you right now. But here's the practice. you need to have some mindfulness and concentration in you to recognize these gifts. And you know very well that to have that energy of mindfulness and concentration, you can practice mindful breathing, mindful walking. So that is the fifth exercise of mindful breathing, to generate a feeling of joy whenever you want. The sixth exercise is to generate a feeling of happiness whenever you want. And this is the art of happiness. Creating moments of joy. Creating moments of happiness for you and for the other person. If you are not joyful, if you are not happy, you do not have much to offer to him or to her. So to practice generating joy and happiness for you, you have something to offer to him or to her. This understanding changes everything about how you approach relationships and how you move through the world. When you're depleted, stressed, constantly focused on what's wrong or missing, you become an energy drain on everyone around you. But when you learn to generate joy and happiness from within, you become a source of light for others. The practice of generating joy begins with the simple recognition that happiness is not a destination you arrive at someday when all your problems are solved. Happiness is not a destination, it is a way of life. It's a choice you make in each moment to focus on what's present rather than what's absent, on what's working rather than what's broken. But this doesn't mean pretending that difficulties don't exist or putting on a fake smile when you're struggling. True joy arises from a deep appreciation for the fullness of life, including its challenges. It comes from the recognition that even in difficult times, there are still wonders available, still gifts to be grateful for, still moments of beauty to be touched. Here's a simple practice you can do right now to generate joy. Close your eyes for a moment, or soften your gaze if you prefer to keep them open. Take 3 conscious breaths, bringing your mind home to your body. Now, bring to mind someone you love. It could be a family member, a friend, a pet, or even someone you've never met but who has touched your life in some way. Picture their face in your mind. Feel the warmth that arises in your heart when you think of them. Let yourself appreciate the gift of having this being in your life, even if they're not physically present right now. Notice how this simple act, just bringing someone you love to mind, can immediately shift your internal state. The love you feel for them is a condition of happiness that's always available to you. It doesn't depend on whether they're in the room, whether they're in a good mood, or whether your relationship is perfect. The love itself is yours to access whenever you choose. Now expand this awareness. Think about your capacity to experience beauty. Remember the last time you saw something that took your breath away, a sunset, a child's laughter, a piece of music that moved you. That capacity for awe, for appreciation, for being touched by beauty, that's another condition of happiness that lives within you. Think about your ability to learn, to grow, to change. Even if you're going through difficulties right now, you have the remarkable capacity to adapt, to heal, to discover new strengths within yourself. This resilience, this potential for transformation, this too is a gift. Think about this moment itself. You're alive. You're breathing. Your heart is beating. You have the ability to listen, to reflect, to choose how you want to respond to your circumstances. This consciousness, this aliveness, this very capacity to experience, it's extraordinary. When you practice like this regularly, when you make it a habit to recognize and appreciate the conditions of happiness that are already present, something beautiful begins to happen. You stop waiting for happiness to come from outside circumstances. You stop believing that you'll be happy when you get the promotion, or lose the weight, or find the perfect relationship, or solve all your problems. You realize that happiness is available right here, right now, in this imperfect, complicated, beautiful moment. This doesn't mean you stop working toward goals or trying to improve your life. It means you stop postponing your happiness until some imaginary future when everything will be perfect. It means you learn to find joy in the journey itself, not just in arriving at destinations. The woman I told you about, the one who made the gratitude list during her difficult time, continued this practice even after her circumstances improved. She said it changed not just how she felt, but how she saw. I realized I had been living like a poor person in a mansion, she explained. I was so focused on the few things that were broken that I couldn't see all the incredible things that were working perfectly. This is the gentle alchemy of joy and happiness. You don't have to manufacture false positivity or pretend difficulties don't exist. You simply learn to balance your awareness. You give equal time to appreciating what's present as you do to working on what needs to change. You remember that even in the midst of challenges, you are surrounded by miracles. Take a moment now to generate joy for yourself. Look around you with fresh eyes, as if you're seeing your environment for the first time. Notice the light, the colors, the textures. Feel grateful for your ability to perceive all of this beauty. Feel your breath moving in and out of your body. Appreciate this body that carries you through life so faithfully. Send a smile to yourself, to your life, to this moment, exactly as it is. This is your happiness. Not the happiness you'll have someday when everything is perfect. The happiness that's available right now, generated from within, independent of circumstances. This is your joy, your light, your gift to yourself and to the world. There's something most of us have never been taught about pain. We've been conditioned to believe that emotional or psychological suffering is something to avoid at all costs, something to push away, numb, or fix as quickly as possible. But what if I told you that the way to transform your pain isn't to run from it, but to learn how to hold it with the tenderness of a loving mother? This might be the most challenging teaching you'll hear today, and also the most liberating. Because until you learn how to be present with your own suffering, you'll spend your life running from it, and that running itself becomes another form of suffering. We have learned the 7th and the 8th exercise of mindful breathing. And you remember the 7th exercise of mindful breathing is to recognize a painful feeling that is coming up. Breathing in, I'm aware of the pain within myself. Breathing out, I smile to the pain within myself. That is the seventh exercise. Aware of pain. There is a painful feeling coming up. You know it, and as a practitioner, you know how to handle a painful feeling. The seventh exercise is to recognize the feeling. You do not try to run away from it like many people. You have to be there for your pain. Think about how radical this is. In a culture that offers us countless ways to avoid discomfort, shopping, scrolling, drinking, working, eating, sleeping, we're being invited to do the opposite. We're being asked to stay, to be present, to actually turn toward what hurts instead of away from it. Most of us are afraid to be overwhelmed by the pain inside. The painful feeling, the painful emotion. Not many of us know how to handle a painful feeling, a painful emotion. And most of us try to run away or to cover them up with consumptions. We use music, newspapers, television, internet in order to cover up the pain in us. We do not have the courage to face, to recognize the pain in us. So the practitioner does not do like that. Let me tell you about someone who discovered this truth in the most unexpected way. He was a successful businessman, someone who had built his entire identity around being strong, competent, and in control. For years, whenever difficult emotions arose, anger, sadness, fear, disappointment, he would immediately distract himself with work. If he felt angry after a difficult meeting, he would dive into his email. If he felt lonely on the weekends, he would organize social events or travel. If he felt anxious about the future, he would make more plans, set more goals, work longer hours. This strategy worked for a while. He was productive, accomplished, busy, but underneath all that activity, the unprocessed emotions were accumulating like water behind a dam. And one day, the dam broke. It started with what should have been a minor frustration at work. A colleague had made a mistake on a project, nothing catastrophic, easily fixable. But instead of his usual controlled response, he found himself overwhelmed with rage. Not just irritation or disappointment, pure, consuming anger that seemed completely disproportionate to the situation. For the first time in his adult life, he couldn't push the feeling away. It was too big, too powerful. All his usual distractions, work, exercise, entertainment, felt hollow and ineffective. The anger stayed with him for days, and beneath it, he began to sense something even more unsettling, a deep well of sadness that he had been avoiding for years. That's when he learned about the practice of embracing painful emotions with mindfulness. At first, it seemed impossible. How could he intentionally turn towards something that felt so overwhelming? But he was desperate enough to try. He practices mindful breathing, he practices mindful walking, and generating the energy of mindfulness. And with that energy of mindfulness, he's stronger. He can go home to himself and recognize the pain and embrace it like a mother embracing her ailing baby. This is the key insight that changes everything. When you practice mindful breathing and walking, you generate what we call the energy of mindfulness. This energy is like building up your inner strength, your capacity to be present with whatever arises. And when you have this energy of mindfulness, you become strong enough to face your own pain without being overwhelmed by it. So the seventh exercise is breathing in. I am aware of the painful feeling in me. Breathing out, I embrace the painful feeling in me. There is the energy of pain, and there is the energy of mindfulness generated by the practice of breathing or walking. So it is the second energy that is recognizing the first energy. Think of it this way. You have two energies present, the energy of your pain, your anger, your sadness, your fear, and the energy of your mindfulness, your capacity to be present, aware, and compassionate. The practice is not to fight the pain or try to make it disappear. The practice is to strengthen the energy of mindfulness so that it can hold the energy of pain with tenderness. The eighth exercise is to calm down the painful feeling, the way a mother is holding her ailing baby. So mindfulness is a kind mother, or big brother, or big sister, holding the child of suffering. This metaphor is profound and healing. When a baby cries, a loving mother doesn't try to make the baby stop crying by force. She doesn't ignore the baby or leave the room. She doesn't get angry at the baby for being in pain. Instead, she picks up the baby tenderly and holds it close to her heart. The first thing you do is to use the energy of mindfulness to recognize the pain. And the second thing you do is to embrace your pain tenderly, like a mother holding her baby. A mother has the energy of tenderness, and that energy of tenderness penetrates into the body of the baby. The baby suffers less. After a few minutes, the baby may stop crying because the energy of tenderness has penetrated into the energy of pain. So, with the practitioner who knows how to generate the energies of mindfulness and concentration, it is possible to recognize, embrace the pain, and calm it down. When the businessman first tried this practice, he was amazed by what happened. Instead of trying to push away his anger, he sat quietly and brought his full attention to it. He breathed mindfully and said to his anger, "I see you. I know you're here. I'm not going to run away from you anymore." At first, the anger seemed to get stronger, as if it were saying, "Finally, someone is paying attention to me." But as he continued to breathe mindfully and hold the anger with gentle awareness, something remarkable began to happen. The anger began to soften. And underneath it, he discovered what the anger had been protecting, a deep sadness about feeling disconnected from the people he loved. By the practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking, you can stay with your pain and you can calm it down. And you are not overwhelmed by the pain because you do have a kind of energy that has the power to recognize and to embrace. And everyone can generate the energies of mindfulness and concentration with the practices of mindful breathing, mindful walking. Mindfulness of breathing, mindfulness of walking, that is the practice. But why do we run from pain in the first place? Understanding this can help us develop compassion for our own patterns of avoidance. We run from pain because we've never been taught how to be with it skillfully. Most of us learned early in life that emotional pain was something to be avoided, minimized, or quickly fixed. When we were children and we felt sad or scared or angry, well-meaning adults often tried to distract us or cheer us up rather than helping us learn how to be present with difficult emotions. We also run from pain because we fear it will overwhelm us or last forever. We don't trust our own capacity to handle difficult emotions, so we develop elaborate strategies to avoid them. But here's what we discover through practice. When we learn to be present with our pain in a mindful, compassionate way, it naturally begins to transform. After having held the baby for a few minutes and helping the baby to suffer less, the mother can find out what is wrong with the baby. The baby may have a fever, or the baby may be hungry. After having discovered that, the mother can change the situation very quickly. And after having used the energies of mindfulness and concentration to embrace your pain and calm it down, you get the insight as to why there is that kind of pain in yourself. And you can find the roots of the pain in yourself. This is where the practice becomes truly transformative. When you stop running from your pain and learn to hold it with mindful compassion, you begin to understand it. You start to see the deeper causes, the underlying needs, the old wounds that are asking for attention. And with this understanding, real healing becomes possible. The businessman discovered that his anger wasn't really about his colleague's mistake at all. As he sat with the anger and breathed mindfully, he began to see that it was connected to a much older pain. He remembered being a child and feeling invisible in his family, where achievement was the only way to get attention and love. His anger was actually grief for the unconditional love he had never received, grief for the child who had learned to perform rather than simply be. This insight didn't happen overnight. It took weeks of patient practice, of breathing with his difficult emotions instead of pushing them away. But gradually, as he learned to hold his pain with the tenderness of mindfulness, it began to transform. There's something even deeper we need to understand about our suffering. Your suffering may carry within itself the suffering of your father, of your mother, of your ancestors. And understanding your suffering, you understand the suffering of your mother, your father, and your ancestors. Maybe father and mother did not know how to transform the suffering, and that is why they have transmitted that block of suffering to us. And we don't know why we suffer that much. The fact is that the suffering in us carries within itself the suffering of our father, our mother, our ancestors, and our nation. That's sure. This understanding brings a profound shift in perspective. Your pain isn't just personal, it's part of a larger web of inherited suffering that has been passed down through generations. When you learn to embrace and transform your own pain, you're not just healing yourself. You're healing the ancestral patterns of suffering that flow through your family line. The Buddha taught, if you want to know your past, look at your present. If you want to know your future, look at your present. This means that the pain you're experiencing now contains the seeds of all the unhealed pain from your past. And how you relate to your pain now will determine whether you pass it on to future generations or transform it into wisdom and compassion. And that is why we need to have the time to listen to our own suffering and to understand. And in order to listen, you need mindfulness, and concentration, so that you are not afraid of being overwhelmed by the suffering inside. Looking deeply and listening deeply is the act of meditation. To meditate is to have the time to look and to listen. And the object of meditation is our own suffering, our own pain. This is perhaps the most important point of all. Real meditation isn't about escaping from your problems or achieving some blissful state where you never feel pain. Real meditation is about developing the courage and capacity to be present with whatever arises, including your deepest suffering. And if you continue to look, to listen to your pain, your suffering, you come to understand. And understanding will always bring compassion. This is the ultimate transformation. When you learn to hold your own pain with mindful compassion, you naturally develop compassion for others who are suffering. You begin to see that everyone who acts from anger, fear, or cruelty is actually a person in pain who doesn't know how to handle their suffering skillfully. Instead of judging them, you want to help them. The businessman's transformation continued over months. As he learned to embrace his own anger and sadness with mindfulness, something beautiful began to happen in his relationships. When his colleagues made mistakes, instead of feeling irritated, he felt compassion for the stress they might be under. When his family members acted out, instead of taking it personally, he could see their behavior as an expression of their own unhealed pain. He began to understand what the Buddha meant about the lotus and the mud. In Buddhist teaching, the lotus flower is a symbol of enlightenment because it grows from mud but blooms into something beautiful. The mud isn't the enemy of the lotus, it's the very condition that makes the lotus possible. In the same way, your suffering isn't an obstacle to your awakening. When you learn to embrace it with mindful compassion, it becomes the compost for wisdom, understanding, and love. Take a moment now to practice this gentle embrace. Bring to mind some difficulty in your life. It doesn't have to be the biggest or most painful thing, just something that's present for you right now. Instead of trying to solve it or make it go away, just breathe mindfully and say to it, "I see you. I know you're here. I'm not going to run away from you." Breathe in and wrap your difficulty in the energy of mindfulness. Breathe out and hold it like a mother holding her crying child. You don't need to fix anything right now. You just need to be present to offer the gift of your compassionate attention. This is how suffering transforms into wisdom. This is how pain becomes the doorway to a more compassionate heart. This is how you break the cycle of inherited suffering and become a source of healing for yourself and the world. There is a kind of medicine that doesn't come in bottles or require prescriptions. It's freely available to every human being, yet most of us have never learned how to use it. This medicine is deep listening, the practice of offering your full, compassionate attention to suffering, whether it's your own or someone else's. What you're about to learn has the power to transform not just your relationships, but conflicts that seem impossible to resolve. It has brought healing to divorcing couples, estranged families, and even warring nations. But it begins with something you might not expect: learning to listen to yourself. We also spoke about listening. We listen to our own suffering. While you hold your suffering tenderly, you can listen to it because you have mindfulness in you. You have the energies of mindfulness and concentration in you. You are not afraid of the pain in you. With that energy of mindfulness and concentration, you can look deeply into the nature of your suffering. You can listen to your own suffering. This is where all healing begins, with the courage to listen to your own pain without judgment, without trying to fix it or make it go away. Most of us have been running from our own suffering for so long that we've forgotten it has something important to tell us. When you sit quietly and bring mindful attention to your inner experience, you might hear things you've been avoiding for years. You might hear the voice of the child who felt abandoned or misunderstood. You might hear the teenager who never felt good enough. You might hear the young adult who made choices from fear rather than love. You might hear the accumulated grief of losses you never fully grieved. Because your suffering may carry within itself the suffering of your father, of your mother, of your ancestors. And understanding your suffering, you understand the suffering of your mother, your father, and your ancestors. This is one of the most profound insights in all of Buddhist psychology. Your pain isn't entirely your own. It carries within it the unhealed wounds of those who came before you. The way your parents struggled with anger, the way your grandparents dealt with loss, the collective trauma of your ancestral line, all of this lives within you. When you look at the other person deeply and with mindfulness, you have a chance to see the suffering in him or in her. That person does not know how to handle the suffering in him. He continues to be the victim of his own suffering. He makes himself suffer, and he makes the people around suffer, including you. So far, no one has told him. So far, no one has helped him to understand and transform his suffering. That is why he continues to suffer and to make the people around him suffer. When you suffer, you make people suffer, even the people you love. Therefore, you should try to understand your own suffering in order to suffer less. Because understanding always brings about compassion. When you look at the other person deeply, and if you recognize the suffering in him or her, then you see that this person is the victim of his own suffering. And suddenly, understanding arises in you, and you are not angry at him anymore. You don't want to punish anymore. Your anger vanishes. Instead, you want to do something, to say something to help him or her suffer less. It means that understanding suffering has already brought compassion into the heart. Now you can begin to look at him with compassion, and you don't suffer anymore. Compassion makes it possible for you to stop suffering. The Buddha taught that understanding is love's other name. This isn't just beautiful poetry. It's a practical truth about how human healing works. When you truly understand someone's suffering, compassion arises naturally. You can't force compassion, but you can cultivate understanding, and compassion will follow. Let me tell you about one of the most powerful examples of deep listening I've ever witnessed. It happened not in a therapy office or meditation center, but in a small monastery where sworn enemies learn to see each other as human beings. In the past, groups of Israelis and Palestinians came to practice. It was very difficult in the beginning. They did not look at each other. I guess that when they look at each other, they suffer. So they were allowed to stay in different places, and on the first days, they were helped to practice in order to get in touch with the refreshing and healing elements in nature. Walking meditation, sitting meditation, tea meditation, mindful eating, singing songs of the Dharma, and then they were initiated to the practice of listening to their own suffering. And it's only in the second week that the two groups were brought together for the practice of listening deeply to each other. Think about how wise this approach was. Before asking people to listen to their enemies, they were first taught to listen to themselves. They spent days learning to be present with their own pain, their own fears, their own grief. Only when they had developed some capacity for self-compassion were they ready to extend that same quality of listening to others. One group is invited to speak out, and they have been instructed that they can tell everything about their suffering. You can tell the other group every kind of suffering that you have undergone. Children and adults. You can tell them everything, but please, use a kind of speech that can help them to understand. Don't blame, don't accuse, just tell them how you suffer, your children, your adults. Because if you use that kind of speech, you help them to understand. The purpose is to help them to understand your own suffering. Do not blame, do not accuse, just tell them of your suffering. The suffering you have undergone. And with the other group, who will be practicing deep listening, they sit, breathe, and listen with the practice of mindfulness of compassion. Because they also have a lot of suffering in them. So the purpose of this session is just to listen so that they can speak out, empty their hearts, and suffer less. What happened next was extraordinary. When you listen like that, you recognize that the other side, they have suffered exactly the same thing, like on your side, children and adults. Before that, you believed that only you suffer. The other side does not suffer. They are only the cause of your suffering. You believe that the other side is the cause of your suffering. But when you suffer, you listen like that. You suddenly realize that they are human beings who have suffered exactly like on your side. And for the first time, you see them as living beings, full of suffering. And that kind of insight helps anger to go down in you. And you begin to look at them with compassion. The first time, you see them as living beings who have suffered exactly the same kind of suffering that on your side you have suffered. And when you look with the eyes of compassion, you don't suffer anymore. In the beginning, there was a lot of anger, a lot of suspicion, a lot of fear. But now, since you have been able to see them as human beings who have suffered a lot like you, suddenly you feel compassion is born in your heart, and for the first time, you can look at them with compassion, and when you look like that, you don't suffer anymore. You don't want to retaliate, you don't want to punish them anymore, and you want to say something, to do something, to help them suffer less. Transformation begins to take place in you. This is the miracle of deep listening. When people feel truly heard, when their suffering is witnessed with compassion rather than judgment, something profound shifts. The walls between us and them begin to dissolve. People who seemed like enemies reveal themselves to be fellow human beings carrying similar wounds. And they have many sessions like that, succeeding each other, and each time, for this side to have their right to speak about their suffering, the other group will be listening. And a few sessions like that can heal the wounds of both of them. And on the last day of the retreat, both groups come together as one group and reported to the whole community about the fruit of their practice. It's very moving to see the transformation and healing taking place. They said that when they go back to the Middle East, they will organize practice like that, so that other Israelis and Palestinians can come to practice to suffer less. But this kind of healing doesn't require a monastery or a formal retreat setting. You can practice deep listening in your own relationships, starting today. The key is understanding what makes listening truly healing versus what makes it harmful. When you listen to him or to her, practice mindfulness of compassion so that compassion stays with you for the whole session, and you are able to listen to him 1 hour, 1 hour and a half or so. But here's the most important part. You have to train yourself first. You train yourself in the art of listening to yourself. You train yourself in order to see the suffering in you. And then you train yourself to see the suffering in him or in her. And you tell yourself, I am listening to him with only one purpose, to make him suffer less. The purpose is not to find the truth, to find out who is right or wrong. The purpose is to help a person to suffer less. I am going to listen in such a way that can make him suffer less. And therefore, even if he says wrong things, if what he says is full of wrong perceptions, even if there is a lot of bitterness, accusation, blame, I continue to listen. I am not going to interrupt and correct him, because I know that if I did that, I will transform the session into a debate. So I make the vow to listen. This requires tremendous inner strength and discipline. Every fiber of your being might want to defend yourself, to correct their misperceptions, to explain your side of the story. But deep listening requires you to set aside your own agenda and create space for another person's pain to be witnessed. Later on, in 3, 4, or 5 days, I may have a chance to give him some information so that he may correct his perception, but not now. Now is only to listen. Even if he said wrong things, if he had a lot of wrong information, I will not stop him, because I know that will spoil the session. So I continue to listen. I will tell myself, poor fellow, he is victim of so many wrong perceptions. But I am not going to interrupt him now, because if I did, I spoil the session. So you continue to listen with compassion. You know that you have time, later on, to help him correct his perception by offering him some information. But not now. And you can sit there and listen for 1 hour or more. And if you can remember that the only purpose of your listening is to help him empty his heart and suffer less, and if you can remember that, you nourish compassion in your heart, and compassion is going to protect you and not allow the anger in you to be triggered. That is called mindfulness of compassion. And during the time you listen to him or to her, practice mindfulness of compassion so that compassion stays with you for the whole session and you are able to listen to him 1 hour, 1 hour and a half or so. 1 hour of practice, of listening, can already heal the other person. When you listen, you have to practice what we call mindfulness of compassion in order to keep compassion alive in your heart. Because if you don't train yourself, you cannot listen to him or to her. Because what the other person says might trigger anger in you, irritation in you, and when anger comes, you can no longer listen. You have lost your capacity to listen to him or her. Because what the other person says might make you angry, there may be some kind of bitterness, blame, accusations, and that makes you angry, and you want to correct him or her right away, and you transform the session into a debate, and you ruin everything. That is why you have to train yourself first. This is perhaps the most challenging spiritual practice there is. It requires you to stay open-hearted in the face of blame, to remain compassionate when someone is attacking you, to see past their words to the pain beneath them. But when you can do this, when you can offer someone the gift of being truly heard, healing happens almost automatically. The practice of deep listening, compassionate listening, and loving speech can always restore communication and bring about reconciliation. You have to understand yourself. You have to listen to yourself. You have to reconcile with yourself, because there may be a deep conflict within. And once you have been able to reconcile with yourself, you can reconcile very easily with the other person and end the difficulties in your relationship. This is the ultimate truth about healing relationships. It begins with you. You cannot give someone else the quality of listening and compassion that you haven't first given to yourself. You cannot heal the conflicts in your relationships until you've learned to heal the conflicts within your own heart. When you practice deep listening, whether to yourself or others, you're participating in the healing of the world. Because every time someone feels truly heard, every time understanding replaces judgment, every time compassion dissolves anger, you're contributing to a more peaceful world. Take a moment now to consider who in your life most needs to be heard. Who is carrying pain that they haven't been able to express? And perhaps most importantly, what parts of yourself have been waiting for your own compassionate listening? The medicine of being heard is freely available. You can offer it to others, and you can give it to yourself. This is how understanding becomes love. This is how listening becomes healing. There are words that wound and words that heal. Words that build walls and words that build bridges. Words that create enemies and words that restore love. What you're about to learn is an ancient art that has the power to transform the most difficult relationships and heal wounds that have festered for years. The Buddha taught, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." This isn't about speaking perfectly or having the right technique. This is about speaking from a heart that has learned to see suffering clearly and respond with compassion. But here's what most people don't understand about loving speech. It's not what you say that matters most. It's the quality of heart from which you speak. You can use all the right words and still cause harm if your heart is closed. Or You can speak imperfectly from a place of genuine love and create miracles. The other person may have a lot of suffering in him, and he may have not been able to listen to his own suffering, and maybe no one has listened to him. And you who are a practitioner, you know how to listen to your own suffering, and now you want to listen to the suffering of the other person. You come to him and say, "Darling, I know you have suffered quite a lot in the past many years." And this is the practice of loving speech. Let me tell you about a moment that changed everything for a man who thought his relationship with his father was beyond repair. At a retreat in northern Germany, 4 men approached their teacher with tears in their eyes. The night before, each of them had done something they never thought possible. They had called their fathers and reconciled relationships that had been broken for years. One of them shared his story. "Dear teacher, the moment I was making the phone call, calling my father at home, I did not believe I could succeed. Because I was very angry at him. I had made a vow never to go and see him anymore. So I did not believe that I could talk to him the way you taught us, using loving speech. But when I heard his voice at the end of the line, suddenly I found myself capable of talking to him like that. Daddy, I know you have suffered a lot in the past many years. I was not able to help you to suffer less, and I have reacted in such a way that made you suffer more. Daddy, I'm sorry. It's not my intention to make you suffer like that. Just because I did not see and understand your suffering. I believe that if I understood your suffering, I would not have reacted the way I have and made you suffer like that. I'm sorry. Please tell me, Father, of your suffering, of your difficulties. I want to know. Because I'm sure that if I understood your suffering, I would not behave, I would not react the way I have in the past. Please help me. And on the other end of the line, the father began to cry because his son had never talked to him that way. This is the power of loving speech. It doesn't require perfect words or flawless delivery. It requires a heart that has learned to see past the surface behaviors to the suffering underneath. Tender, gentle speech, which is the practice of the 4th mindfulness training. You go to him or to her, and because you have some compassion in your heart, you have seen the suffering in him or in her. That is why you can use easily what we call loving speech. But how do you find this quality of speech when you're hurt, angry, or frustrated? How do you speak with love to someone who has caused you pain? The answer lies in understanding what loving speech actually is and what it isn't. Loving speech isn't about being nice or avoiding conflict. It's not about pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It's not about saying what you think the other person wants to hear. Loving speech is truth spoken from compassion. It's honesty delivered with the intention to heal rather than harm. Let me share with you another story that demonstrates just how powerful this practice can be, even when it seems impossible. There was a woman in America, a Catholic, who wanted to commit suicide because she did not see a way out. The husband was a university professor. They had children who were in college, but they did not have happiness because there was a lot of anger in him, despair in her, and there was no communication. She described him as a kind of bomb ready to explode at any time. That woman had a friend who was a Buddhist practitioner of mindfulness. And the Buddhist woman always tried to get her to listen to a Dharma talk about diffusing a bomb. Because the Catholic woman always said, "My husband was like a bomb, so much anger ready to explode at any time." So the Buddhist woman said, "I have a Dharma talk given by my teacher about how to defuse a bomb. So why don't you listen and learn to help your husband to transform his anger?" But the Catholic woman said, "But I am a Catholic. Why do I have to listen to a Dharma talk?" So she refused. But one day, she was in despair, and she telephoned her friend, "My dear friend, I am going to kill myself tonight." And the Buddhist woman said, "Well, please come and visit me before you do so. Take a taxi, come, and tell me what is wrong." When the Catholic woman came, the Buddhist woman said something that changed everything. "Dear friend, you have told me several times that I am your best friend, and yet I don't believe it so much, because the only request that I made is for you to listen to the talk of my teacher, but you refused. How can I believe that you are my best friend at all?" That was a kind of loving challenge. And the Catholic woman thought to herself, "Well, to satisfy her request is not so difficult, so I am going to listen to that talk, and I will go home and kill myself later on." So the Buddhist woman gave her the cassette tape, withdrew, and allowed the Catholic woman to be alone and listen to the talk. And you know that in the talk, the teacher spoke about compassionate listening, loving speech, in order to restore communication and to reconcile. And the Catholic woman sat down and listened to the whole talk. And something happened in her. And when she finished listening to the talk, she told her friend, "I'm going home and I'll help my husband. To defuse the bomb in him, I am going to listen to him with compassion so that he will suffer less. I see that he has a lot of suffering in him, and I have not helped him at all. I have reacted in such a way that made him suffer more. I'm going to practice deep listening, compassionate listening, to help him suffer less." The Buddhist woman said, "Well, you have to wait, my dear friend. You need some training before you can do it. It's not just by listening to a tape that you can go and practice right away." So they went to a retreat together. And after the retreat, she came home very peacefully, and she was determined to practice. That night she came home and walked mindfully, breathing in and out, calming herself. "My husband, I know you have suffered so much in the last many years. I could not help you to suffer less. And I have reacted angrily and made you suffer much more. Dear one, it's not my intention to make you suffer like that. Just because I was ignorant, I did not understand the suffering in you. So please help me. Tell me of your suffering. Tell me of your difficulties. Please help me. I need help." And her husband began to cry, because the woman had not spoken to him like that for a long time. And that night became a very healing night. They listened to each other. They reconciled. This is the formula for loving speech that can transform any relationship. Darling, my dear friend, I know you have suffered quite a lot during the past many years, and I was not able to help you. In fact, I have reacted in such a way that made the situation worse. I have made you suffer more. I'm sorry. Darling, I have reacted in such a way because I did not see your suffering. I did not understand the suffering in you. Darling, it's not my intention to make you suffer. Just because I did not understand the suffering in you, and I believe that if I understood the suffering in you, I would not react like that, the way I have in the past. So you've got to help me. Please tell me what is in your heart. Please tell me of your difficulties, your suffering, your frustration. I want to hear. Because I know that if I understand the suffering, I will not react the way I have in the past. You've got to help me. If you don't help me, who will help me? That is the kind of speech that we must use in order to open the heart of someone. If you have seen some of his suffering, and if you have some amount of compassion in yourself, you are capable of using that kind of speech that we call loving speech. But why does this work when so many other approaches fail? There are several profound psychological and spiritual principles at work here. First, you're taking responsibility for your part without blaming or attacking. You're acknowledging that your reactions may have contributed to their suffering. This immediately shifts the dynamic from attack and defense to vulnerability and openness. Second, you're expressing a genuine desire to understand rather than to be right. You're asking for help instead of demanding change. This invites cooperation rather than resistance. Third, you're speaking to their suffering rather than their behavior. You're seeing the wounded person behind the defensive actions. This touches something deep in the human heart, the longing to be truly seen and understood. Darling, I know you have suffered quite a lot, and I have reacted in such a way that made you suffer more. I am sorry. It's not my intention to make you suffer like that. It's because I did not understand your suffering. So, darling, please help me. Tell me what is in your heart. Tell me of your suffering, your difficulties, so that I can understand. And if we know how to use that kind of speech, we can open the heart of someone. He or she will tell you. And now we have a chance to practice deep listening, compassionate listening. Because the practice of compassionate listening can heal a person. 1 hour of practice, of listening, can already heal the other person. The German man continued his story. Dear teacher, I talked with my father for 1.5 hours, and we were able to reconcile. And you know something, dear teacher, the first thing I will do after the retreat is to go straight to see him, go to his house, and visit him. This is how we defuse the bombs in our relationships. Not by trying to fix or change the other person, but by speaking to their heart from our heart. Not by defending our position, but by acknowledging their pain. Not by demanding to be understood, but by seeking to understand. And many people in the retreat succeeded in the practice of reconciling with the other person. The miracle of reconciliation always happens when we practice loving speech and compassionate listening. Tonight, when you go home, you have an opportunity to practice this art. Think of someone in your life who needs to hear these words of understanding. It might be your partner, your child, your parent, your friend. It might be someone you've been avoiding because the relationship feels too difficult. Remember, you don't need perfect words. You need a sincere heart. You need the willingness to see their suffering and speak to it with compassion. This is how bombs become bridges. This is how wounds become wisdom. This is how love returns to places where love seemed impossible. We've traveled together through ancient wisdom that feels as fresh as this morning's breath. You've learned that freedom isn't something you achieve someday when all your problems are solved. It's something you can touch with your very next breath. But knowing this and living this are two different things. So how do you carry this practice into the beautiful messiness of your daily life? During the first few days, we learn how to recognize our feelings, our emotions. We learn how to get in touch with the wonders of life. On the third day, we begin to learn how to listen to our suffering and to learn about listening to the suffering of the other person. On the fifth day, we try to apply the practice of compassionate listening and loving speech in order to reconcile with the other person. What's remarkable about this isn't that it takes years of practice to see results. What's remarkable is that profound transformation can happen in just 5 days when you commit fully to being present with your own life. 5 days of learning to breathe consciously. 5 days of walking as a free person. 5 days of embracing your pain with compassion. 5 days of listening deeply and speaking from love. But you don't need to wait for a retreat or a perfect week to begin. You can start this very moment, wherever you are. Your daily freedom practice can be beautifully simple. Every morning, before you check your phone or dive into your to-do list, take 10 conscious breaths. Bring your mind home to your body. Feel yourself arriving in this day, in this life. Set the intention to walk as a free person, to speak from love, to listen with compassion. Throughout your day, let every transition become a moment of mindfulness. When you get up from your desk, take 3 conscious breaths. When you walk to your car, feel your feet on the ground. When you're stuck in traffic, instead of fuming, practice generating joy by remembering something beautiful in your life. When someone triggers your anger, remember that they are suffering and don't know how to handle their pain skillfully. Before difficult conversations, pause and ask yourself, how can I speak to this person's suffering rather than just their behavior? When you feel overwhelmed by your own emotions, remember to breathe mindfully and hold your pain like a mother holding her crying child. The Buddha's final words to his disciples were, "Be a lamp unto yourself." He wasn't telling them to be selfish or isolated. He was reminding them that the light of awakening, the capacity for peace and compassion, lives within each person. You don't need to wait for someone else to save you or fix your circumstances. You have everything you need right now to begin transforming your suffering into wisdom. But here's something beautiful about this practice. When you become a lamp unto yourself, you naturally become a light for others. your peace becomes contagious. Your capacity to stay present in difficult moments gives others permission to do the same. Your willingness to listen with compassion creates space for healing wherever you go. Even if you're practicing alone, you're never truly alone. Around the world, there are others learning to breathe as free people, to walk with presence, to hold their pain with love. There are people practicing deep listening in their marriages, loving speech with their children, mindful breathing at their computers. This is what we call the Sangha of the heart, the invisible community of all beings committed to awakening and healing. You become part of this Sangha the moment you choose presence over escape, compassion over judgment, understanding over being right. Every time you pause to breathe consciously, you strengthen this web of consciousness. Every time you listen to someone's pain without trying to fix them, you contribute to the healing of our world. So where do you begin? You begin exactly where you are. You begin with whatever is present, your joy, your sorrow, your fear, your hope. You begin by bringing your mind home to your body with one conscious breath. You begin by taking one mindful step. You begin by offering one moment of compassionate listening to yourself. The way out is in. The path to healing your relationships begins with healing your relationship with yourself. The way to create a more peaceful world begins with finding peace in your own heart. You cannot give what you don't have, but what you cultivate within yourself becomes a gift to everyone you meet. This practice will change your life, but not in the way you might expect. It won't make your problems disappear or guarantee that difficult people become easy. But it will give you the capacity to meet whatever arises with presence, wisdom, and love. It will teach you that you are much stronger and more resilient than you ever imagined. And here's the beautiful truth about walking this path. Your own healing naturally extends to others. When you learn to transform your suffering into compassion, you become a source of healing in your family, your workplace, your community. When you learn to breathe as a free person, you give others permission to remember their own freedom. Right now, wherever you are in this world, take a moment to feel the miracle of being alive. Feel your breath moving in and out of your body. Feel your heart beating steadily in your chest. Feel the aliveness flowing through every cell. This is your life. This is your opportunity. This is your invitation to freedom. May you breathe as a free person. May you walk as a free person. May your presence bring healing to all those whose lives you touch. May your practice contribute to the awakening of our world. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings find peace.